So far, we have been using where class based on single values, right? We can scalar values where what you have one or two data points, two data value comparing with each other. You have a string greater than, you have a numerical value greater than, less than, between, and then you have a string doing like. All these are based on singular values. Apparently, a more useful way of using SQL is if you can you can utilize data from different tables. And we already done entity relationship model. We already done normalization. We know that the database should be divided into multiple tables in order to be more useful. And here, apparently, you may want to utilize the data from one table when you query against another table. This is what the subquery is about. A very common scenario is you want to, like I just said, utilizing table data from one query into another query when you are querying another table. For example, if I want to see all the instructors all the courses taught by Jedi instructors, which Jedi instructor Jedi instructor is defined by instructor affiliation equals to Jedi, which comes only from instructor table. And then course name only comes from the course table. So in order to get this courses taught by Jedi instructor, you have to go to instructor table. First run this select instructor name from instructor where instructor affiliation equals to Jedi. First, you run this. Once you run this, you get a list of instructor names, Jedi instructor names. Then you will have a select star from a course where instructor name in this list, right? But how are you going to apply this query result into the course name instructor, course table query? First way, of course, is you run the query, run the instructor table query, write down the output or copy and paste it, and paste it into the course table query, right? But what happens if there are new instructors coming in and some good instructor moved out? Then apparently this will will force you to rerun the query again and again. SQL actually provides you with a better way where you can put the first query into parentheses and apply it in the second query's in clause. So the entire SQL will be select star from course where instructor name in. And this will be the main query. Inside this in parentheses, you put the first query, select instructor name from instructor where instructor affiliation equals Jedi. The inside one is called subquery, whereas the outside one, of course, is called main query. Now, if you look at the query, subquery, what is a subquery? What does subquery do for you? Subquery is actually just a SQL, right? And any select SQL, any select query will return you either a two-dimensional table, a new relation, or a single value. Now, we have to scale this back a little bit because Postgres does not support, when you use the subquery, Postgres does not support a full two-dimensional table. It only supports a two-dimensional table with one column, which is a vector, which is actually a vector or a list, right? This is the Postgres SQL limitation. There are other DBMS who supports subquery as a two-dimensional table, but not Postgres. Postgres actually promised they will support this later on, but as of version 13, it's not here yet. So we have to scale a little bit. The subquery in Postgres scenario will either return a vector or a single value. Single value can be returned with an aggregation function. If you sum up something inside in our data set, this will guarantee you to return a single value, right? Or there's something called NA and all prefix, which we will discuss later. So aggregation function and the any or prefix will guarantee you they will return single value. Otherwise, it will be a vector. Now, if you really know the data and you write the SQL so well that it only returns one value, it will also be a single value. But no matter it's a vector or a single value, all three of these the type of subquery results can be used in the in clause. So in the in clause, you can either have a vector, a list, or you can have a single value using aggregation functions or any or prefix. If your vector is actually a single value, for example, I'm just selecting the first or the oldest Jedi master or the most powerful Jedi master from the instructor, then of course they will only return me I'm just returning a Yoda, for example, then it will only give me one result, right? So this will give you a single value subquery too. If the subquery either using aggregation function or using any or prefix, or as the data defines only returns a single value, if this subquery only returns a single value, it can be used in normal where clause, such as comparison. Let me give you an example. For example here, where if I want to see single value using where actual tuition greater than the average actual tuition, right? So what if I want to see the actual tuition greater than the average tuition of all the courses in Introduction to the Force, right? This is how you do it. You write a where clause where actual tuition greater than, select average of actual tuition from registration and apply whatever where clause you want to apply. This is average return you a average of the tuition. Or in the second example, what if I want to get the maximum actual tuition? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the subquery, I'm going to select the maximum actual tuition. And once I get a maximum tuition, I will apply this in the where clause. So when I do a select from, I'm selecting the actual tuition is the highest of the SQL courses. So the course name like SQL gives me all the SQL courses. The select maximum gives me the highest tuition of SQL courses. And the outside the where clause give me the course where the actual tuition is the highest among SQL courses. So this is the multiple levels of where clause. That's when you have the subquery. When you have a subquery and you are applying this subquery into a main query. And by the way, this is where you see why you need a good indentation, why you need a good writing style, your SQL writing convention. Because if you do not do that, if all three rows are in the same, with the same indentation, you will see where select where. You will not be able to tell easily which where corresponding to which from and which from corresponding to which select. So that's when you need a good indentation. And here is an or any. Or basically means everything or return. I think I made a mistake just now. I said all will return a single value. That's wrong. Any will return a single value. All will return less. Will return the lowest. It actually depends. It depends on the exact subquery. But anyway, actual tuition greater than all means actual tuition greater than the highest, the largest. So it gives you a vector. It all still give you a vector, but here, because but here Postgres understands that all greater than all, it means greater than the maximum, and less than any means less than the minimum, right? All and any are not very common. The usage of all any are not very common because they can easily lead to confusion. So I'm not going to cover this in detail. In most cases, we are going to use aggregation functions if we need a single value. right? So greater than max is equal to greater than all, greater to all. And similarly, less than minimum is equals to less than all. Less than max is equivalent to less any. So this can be confusion, as you can see. I think using maximum minimum makes more sense and easier to understand. So that's why we are not going to teach them, and that's probably why people use that less often. Okay. So I'm bringing up, I think. I think I accidentally, when I try to bring up Postgres pgadmin, I accidentally stopped sharing. But yeah, here is the pgadmin, and I'm trying to run this SQL where I'm going to select instructor names from instructor where affiliation equals to Jedi. And let me check, make sure I am running. Okay, yeah. So I'm getting a list of Jedi Masters, including Anakin Skywalker. Then I'm using this inside this select star. I'm only getting instructions, courses from these instructors, and Anakin Skywalker does not have a course. That's why he's not selected here. But then here we have the select average. What's the average tuition of this introduction to the Force? It is 190. And you can see that this is indeed returning, this subquery is indeed returning one single value, right? And I'm going to use actual tuition greater than this single value to see who's paying a higher price than average. Okay, it's Leia Skywalker, right? Then similarly, we have select maximum. What's the maximum tuition? Is 200. So if I want to do this, select start from course from 200. These are the courses that's higher than the maximum actual tuition for the Force courses, right? So these are probably more advanced. I would assume lightsaber fighting is more difficult than Introduction to Force, right? Okay, and let's just skip all this all or any. I'm not going to go through this. Okay.